G'day and welcome back to my hobby room. Now, me and my big mouth. In the last video, I did this review, not a very flattering one either, of the new Airfix Bristol Bulldog, right? Okay. And there's problems. There's problems with this kit. There really is, which is it's very un-Airfix, and it's for me anyway. After 60 years building Airfix kits, this is a really strange kettle of fish. Okay. And I jokingly said at the end of it, thinking, as I would, that it wouldn't really amount to much. Look, if you do 10,000 views of this thing, I'll build it, right? Thinking, at best I'll do 5,000 in a week, and it might creep up to 10,000 by the end of the month, And then, I'll do a follow-up video and I'll try and build the bloody dog, okay? You guys did it in 2 days. Yep, 10,000 views. Never had that. 10,000 views in 2 days. It's one of my #1 videos of all time. Well, look, thank you, you bastards. Because now I've had to actually build it. Look at that. There you go. It's finished. Yeah. It's all built. I've done the motor, sort of, a bit. So you've got a pilot in there now, right? And he's sitting there quite happily. And interestingly, that pilot is sitting there not how you think, because that is the Airfix interior, and it's not in my aeroplane, but I've got a pilot, all right? So what did I do? Oh, you went and scratched it, Harry. No, didn't. I used the kit's parts, only the kit's parts, and I made a very easy interior that from the outside looks identical to the one that Airfix wants you to build with all of that. Now, look, don't get me wrong. I'm not against interiors at all. I've built the Wingnut Wings kit, right? The Hans Brandenburg. Did the interior with that. But it's a wooden interior and it's got heaps of detail and it's 1/32 scale. Now, if you do the math, and I know a lot of people's eyes will roll over, but it's just very simple, okay? If you go from 1/48 to 1/32, okay, it's 50% longer. Okay, that's fine. But its area is 140% bigger. And its volume is 3.5 times as much volume stuff. That's what happens when you just go from that scale to that scale. I've also done scratch interiors for this Beaufighter, right, which is an old Matchbox kit. Completely built a whole interior from that and kit bashed it with an Airfix kit as well to make it look better. I also did an entire scratch interior for this Schmear kit. Right now, Schmear kits aren't always the best. This was the Mackie float plane, the racing one, right? And I won first place in competition with this. And I scratched the whole interior. I actually pinched a spare interior out of a P41 or something, or a P40, that I had left over, and from a club build. And I put that in it. So look, I am no stranger to doing an interior, and I love a good interior when it can be seen, or I choose to do it. What my objection to this Airfix kit is, you have to build that interior to get the seat in, to do whatever. Anyhow, enough of that. Let's get on with the video. Well, I'll show you how to basically get a pilot inside this thing, right? Using less than half the parts that Airfix wants you to, and dropping about 9 steps, and it works. It's exactly the same. Interested? Great. Roll the music. So this is pretty much where I left things in the last video. I've done a dry fit here with the wings. I'd buttoned up the fuselage with a rubber band and by clicking in the tailplane assembly. And I had the interior done. Now I've popped in a pilot. And there is an interior in there. But you really don't see anything of it. In fact, even if I pull out my pilot, this is what you see the interior, and that's with the light shone all the way down it with no wings in the way, and basically no rigging, nothing, which would be a rare occurrence. You can see the seat, you can just see the joystick, you can see the dash, right, which would be painted up and have the decal dials on, sure, but you don't see 90% of all that stuff in the instructions. Okay, so this is the thing. Sure, if you want to build it, as I said in the opening, sure, go for it, do it, it's fine. That's terrific. So, if you want to have that whole experience, that's okay. But honestly, I think there should be an option as to you don't need to do that. I think you only need to do steps 1 to 4 if that. And then jump to 10, put in the instrument binnacle, and then jump all the way to step 15 over the page, which basically is button it up, because all I'm going to have is a seat and a yoke and, one bulkhead. That's all I need. And the little dash, right, little dash instrument binnacle, that would actually get glued into the frame. So let's see how that goes together. I'm sure it's going to be a lot faster, a lot easier to do, and a lot less stressful. As I mentioned in the beginning, I have another kit. Yeah, this one is from an anonymous donor, someone who we won't mention, Chris Becker. He said, yeah, build up my interior, but then build up his interior and do it the short way, because he realises, like I do, all that stuff is a waste of time. So let's dig into his kit and pull out the sprues that we need. And there we go. Look, that's all you need. Middle there's 2 parts in that and 3 parts in that. So it's 5, 6, 7. 7 parts, as opposed to the extra 9 they're going to want you to put on, which you don't need. And stepwise, we're going to do this in 4 steps, as opposed to the extra 9 steps they want you to add. So, this is less than half each time. All right, let's pop this together. Now, the yoke, which is glued to bit of framework there. They're not actually pedals. They're little pivots there for the machine guns, which you can cut off. You don't need those. And the seat is made up, of course, of the seat base and back glued to 2 sides. And that just goes into there. So I'll glue that. That's easy enough. And that can then go straight into the aircraft. Not a problem. Oh, it'll need a framework at the back. So I'll need to put that on. That part of the frame fits to the fuselage, right? And this bit here is what you've got to join to. And all they've got for the connecting is a tiny little bump there, no worse than an acne spot, and a little thing here, which has got a tiny slot on it, which is very hard to know if you're actually lined up or what the hell is going on. It's as vague as all buggery. But if you don't get that right, as I didn't when I built my cradle, you can end up with the seat just a little bit too high or whatever. So you've got to work out the lowest position that could be. So it's got to sort of sit about there, which is all very tricky. It's supposed to actually, I think that's supposed to fit in the bottom of there. Yeah, something like that. We'll figure it out and we'll glue that together. Okay, now the other things I'm going to need to know, here on the fuselage, where are these bits going to fit? Because we don't have our little cradle anymore. Well, we've got a nice little diagonal line there, which is rather interesting. So we pop in our little fella here. We'll lose the pilot for the moment. So we just want to see how this goes together. Okay, now there's that little diagonal line there. Lo and behold, that diagonal line is exactly the diagonal of the seat. Can you see that? That diagonal line there? Here's the diagonal line of the seat. So we can do that. The other thing we've got here is the top of the frame here, behind the seat. That's going to fit just on the edge of that opening, so that's okay. Now the instrument binnacle, that's one that wouldn't be very easy to figure out if you just jump straight into this. But it is halfway along, but only the front edge, right? So this front edge here is at the halfway point. So if you were doing this kit, I'd mark the midpoint there, all right? And then it fits just kind of in front of that little notch. So that's it. Let's put this together. So, oh dear, you're saying, but Harry, we can see daylight through there. Of course you can. And you can in the other one as well. See? This one here, you can see daylight through the cradle. You just got a couple of feet in the way. But you're going to add this little part here to the front to increase your motor mounts. Then here, we've got this little assembly which fills that hole. So let's just pop that on and see what happens when it's all sealed up. There we go. That part's just friction fit in there, and actually it's another part with a stupid thing. That little bit of it, right, comes in two parts, has no use whatsoever. It doesn't click to anything, it doesn't do anything. All I think it does is complete an interior which by this point you can't see, which is completely hidden. Right, so that just clicks in there. Oh, friction fit before. Right. So that makes it all dark in there. I mean, you can't see anything. That hole, right, that hole is the wing. So with the wing in, there's nothing. The only real light is at the front where you're going to put a motor in, right? So there we go. And you'll notice also, but the fact I've snapped the tail plane on, just because I want to see how it looks, the it all holds together a lot more. The fuselage actually mates up a lot cleaner. When I had the frame in there, the frame, especially with the pilot, pushed everything out of whack. So it wasn't real good. It wasn't real good at all. All right, so now for the moment of truth. We have got our basic interior in. It's sitting there fine. And our pilot, with a bit of convincing, you want to put him in actually for you. Oh, he goes in and he sits nice and low too. That's about correct. So there we go. I'll just take that away because it's too fiddly to hold. So there you go. It is very easy to build the interior for this, and it will look exactly the same. Try and get some light in there. You will see a dashboard. You will see a seat, except unless you've got a pilot in the way. But you'll see a seat. You'll see everything, right? So, sans pilot. You will see a dashboard. You will see a joystick. Maybe you'll see a seat. It's all there. You don't need the cradle. You don't need to do 9 steps, and you can throw away 7 parts, and you get a much easier build, a much nicer experience, and still the same effect. There's a whole lot of bits here that we have to add to the front of the where the cowling is going to go, which is all part of mounts for the motor. So I think I'll do that. If we're doing the engine mounts, why don't we build the engine? It looks pretty exciting, and I think I can pretty well build most of it up dry fit so that it can be painted later. Let's do that. After a half-hour rummage underneath my desk, I found the part. Here's the issue. See, that's a sprue cut. As clean as I get it with a knife when I cut it actually off the sprue. But you've got to tidy that up, and it's such a fragile part. Look at the size of my finger, and I've got small hands. There was no need for this. You could have either moulded them on there. It could have easily just been a moulded bit, not a big issue. Or, as I say, use your sprue attachment points to the 2 areas that get glued, namely at the bottom here and that side there. Not across bloody here where it's going to be sticking up, staring in your bloody face. Amazingly, I got all of those on there. I'm not confident about them because they are a bit vague in their slots. And like other things in this kit, you have a vague mounting point, then later on, you're going to have a mounting point that has to be exact. And I'm worried they won't mate up. So we might just have a look ahead here and see what they're supposed to click to. And also there's some little edges I have not been able to clean up. See, like that. I didn't get that one. I missed it. And I'll I'll wait till the glue dries and then I can come in and cement those later. I still, and my cleverness, this still is basically comes apart. Okay, so that's the trick I've got here. So because I've got to basically paint all that up, probably paint it in situ. But I'm going to get on with that. But first, I need a little grandpa nap. Well, I've had my big nap, and that's always a good thing. And waking up from that, I managed to clean up that part and realised, hang on, maybe this is the way to do this. Don't worry about the little bits, right? Cut it off from sprue as close as you can. Don't worry about the nubby bits. Glue them on, because once they're in place, life is actually so much easier. You've got something to hold them with. They're not going to ping off to the carpet monster, and you only really get in there with your knife, get rid of the worst of it, right, and give it a bit of a scrape, and voila, problem is gone. They're all nice and clean. So there you go. You don't need to suffer the frustration I have and the perils of the carpet monster. Just nip them off as close as you can off the sprue. Don't worry about the little burry bit. Glue them on, and after they're glued on, then use your knife to go in and trim and cut them. Ah, joy, happiness. Ah. All right, let's see what else I can get done. So I moved on to the motor and thought, well, this is going to be quite easy. I mean, that doesn't look too complicated. And no, Airfix strikes again. This is the only part that I've done so far, right? Part A1. And all the sprue joints are like here at very fine points where tiny little things are going to have to join later on. Now, not like it's a big flat surface, it'll be easy to cut off as I'd recommended. These are all curved surfaces, they're all tubes, and it's the outside that's going to be seen. So that's where you choose to put the sprue point, right there. So cutting them off, I've done the best I can, but that's a mating surface. That's, you know, I'm going to leave it a bit rough and hope that I can maybe get in, do the same trick I had to do with those stupid engine mounts, is to file them once it's on there and glued up. Because again, not smart, not good at all, not thinking it through, Airfix. What's happened? Has the guy that designs and does the instructions to Dragon come to work for Airfix? Because we've got instructions that are vague, too many parts, stuff's over-engineered, and it's, you know, it's just ridiculous putting things together. And we've got, you know, mounting points that are absurd and sprue points that are in absolutely the wrong positions. Airfix, you've dropped the ball. Well, that was fun. Let's go through the issues with this. Okay, Airfix has made a lovely 3-piece prop, which probably has allowed them to mould the blades with the correct angles, right? Which is good because, as I've complained when I did the Hawker Fury, I had to actually sculpt my entire prop because it was all solid, which is a big blob. So they have a little... the cap piece is separate because you're going to paint that red, okay? And then your main prop body is moulded there. And then the base of the prop is actually this tiny little piece here. But I think that's just a moulding process thing, and I applaud that. That makes sense because, yeah, trying to get all the scallopness and everything, I know is kind of tricky when you're moulding. So, okay, they've done that in 2 pieces. That's fine. They've done the cap in 1 piece. Okay, so you can paint it separately, or at least there's a nice easy demarcation line for you to paint. That's good. Now, this little piece, right? Oh, this one's tricky. This, which holds the, basically the rotation little piece here, right? Okay, which you don't glue. Now, it fits in there, and obviously, well, this is what you've got to do. Look for the knobs because they don't show them. In the instructions, right, they show you holes, they do all these lovely spacings, they do not show you knobs. And this is what's happened previously in other sections. The knobs are important, Airfix, incredibly important. Some of these knobby bits are big, some of them are little. And then when you look at the holes, you've got big holes, you've got little holes. They're subtle, but if you don't get them around right way, the whole thing doesn't click together. And you might say, oh, Harry, that's kind of obvious and everything. Well, when you're trying to blind connect them, because remember, you've just put the the axle there, the shaft, right, for the prop on, and then you're trying to put that thing on and you're blind, you can't see what you're doing, you're going to have to figure out what's what. So the trick is that the big hole is down the bottom here, and that's something to remember all the way through. Big hole to the bottom. And then when you look at the part, the big knob is to the bottom, along with a big flange piece, which obviously has to fit down there in that slot. So that's kind of a bit of a dead giveaway. It's kind of obvious. But it's obvious after the fact. I mean, when you're putting this together, everything can get turned around, right? So that's all right. So you watch out for that. So Airfix is not showing you knobs. They're only showing you holes. This conflab, let's pull it apart so I can show you. All right, so these two little octopus, right? Okay, Airfix does give a diagram sort of explaining here that the widest gap is where the double one goes through. All right, yes, good. That's the sort of thing we want to see, Airfix. So this one that's got two arms, that is going to go in the widest gap. So okay, that will need to go into that one there. All right, so yes, clickety poo, that works, and then you get all of your 7 little they're probably either inlet or outlet things. I think they're inlet at this stage, because that could be outlet. I don't know. There's some sort of let's just leave it at that. Now then, you've got this little octopus, and again, there are knobby bits, and they don't show you that. Again, the instructions only shows you holes. It is all hole centric. They're not into knobs. Now the knobs, which are on the other side of this, because fabulous CAD drawings, but you can't see the friggin' knobs. The knobs are the important part, because once you see the knobs, and if you don't get them correct, you can break one of them off, as I've already done. I've snapped one of those. So if you see here, there are 2 holes together, right? And there are 3 holes by themselves. And if you have a look at your knobby bits, right, there are 2 knobby bits together and 3 by themselves. So again, once you're armed with that knowledge, which is not clear from the instructions, all right, I only learned it through trial and error and actually breaking one of the pins, is then you'll mate up 2 to 2, 1 to 1, and the whole thing fits. So there you go. And then, and on you go, you start putting on your other parts, and bingo bongo. So watch this kit. It has so many traps. Honestly, this is not Airfix how I remember it. This is like Dragon, where you've got to look 10 steps ahead and think back and check some reference photos and then have a look what they've done and have a look at the backer parts and the fronter parts, because the instructions are not showing you the information you need to be able to put this kit together confidently. So there we have it. It's only a little thing, but it caused so much trouble, and it's not finished yet. So I'm leaving the video there, honestly. What I've learned from this kit is that anything that looks simple, like the next section, just make 4 little cylinders and put them in. Should be easy. Shouldn't be hard. Well, up to now, every time I've said that, every time I've thought that, it's ended up a lot more fiddly, a lot more difficult. Look, I don't mind a challenging kit. I don't mind a kit that tests me and have to do some things. But I'd expect that from Dragon, and I'd expect that from some of the other brands. Airfix kits, to me, with my fun kits, easy to do. Yes, there was a little bit of sanding and shaping to make parts fit and everything. That was okay. That was all part of the joy of it. This isn't. This is CAD. This is supposed to click together. This is like a Tamiya kit, and you know how much I don't like Tamiya kits. This is the thing. This is like a Tamiya kit with Dragon instructions. Yes, all is not well in the Houdini world, I can tell you. Airfix, not happy. But anyhow, we'll persevere and I'll finish this kit. Anyhow, look, buttons. If you made it to the end of the video, I thank you. And can you hit some of these buttons? Because the algorithm likes to eat that. So the algorithm eats the button pushing. Yeah, apparently the road it lives on. Yes, it does. And if you really want to help me out, buy me a curry. It might shut me up for a while so I don't make these stupid videos. Now, I'm not going to make any more predictions, but if this video does 20,000 views, I'll... Oh dear, I'm never doing that again. Never, ever. But look, it is good to be popular, and welcome to all the new subscribers, and it's great that that is some success. But as I've said so many times on this channel, I can work so hard doing intricate things and showing you scratch building and stuff like that and going into detail on kits, and I get mediocre views. I create a little bit of controversy, say that I don't like something that's very popular, and suddenly YouTube goes ballistic. Well, not YouTube, the great unwashed out there, you lot. And that is a sad state of affairs, but is the reality of the world. So do I make controversial videos, or do I make videos about things that I like to do, modelling? It'll be the latter. I make things about the modelling that I like to do. And I'll make videos list showing you how to fix problems. Yeah. So enough of that. Goodbye from Australia. And it's hooroo from Harry Houdini. There were more bad words in this one. I'm sorry. It couldn't be helped. Look, the stuff on the floor, the carpet. There's probably more parts down there, Bask. Don't eat it. The carpet monster will make you sick.